It's very clear that they are good at home. So are the Suns. But what isn't clear are the questions that we need answered, right? So let's go around the horn, throw out a couple questions. I'll kick this thing off. When it comes to the Bucks' performances offensively, Jrue Holiday and Khris Middleton, what is a reasonable expectation for them? Because in my mind, it's not necessarily the amount of points that you get. Yes, you want efficiency. You want above 40% from the field, but I just want them to go to the rack, get foul calls, try to get to the free throw line as much as I can. So, Mike, I don't know if I'm out of line for not setting necessarily a hard bar for what you need from those two.
Yeah, I think aggressive is the buzzword that we've heard, but I actually want to see Jrue Holiday establish that perimeter shot. His accuracy from the three-point arc in Game 3 to me was the difference, because one thing we know, Shay, him and Khris Middleton know how to flex that muscle from those last couple of games of the Eastern Conference Finals. We saw that show up when Giannis was off the floor.
Yeah, they traded 2 first-rounders and Bledsoe for Jrue Holiday. So you need to see more of what you saw in the last game from him being efficient offensively as well as matching what he can do defensively. His threes in the third quarter totally changed the discourse of that game. So if he can do that maybe earlier or more often, that would be beneficial to the Bucks.
No doubt.
I feel you on that question.
All right, hugely beneficial for the Bucks there. I like the question there, Trev. I'll kick it off here next, because on the other side, I look at the backcourt for Phoenix, and I ask the question, Devin Booker in Game 3, only 29 minutes, only 10 points, 1 of 7 from beyond 3. Is what we saw in that performance an outlier or a true cause for concern? I'm inclined to believe outlier. And I think the biggest difference for Devin Booker was that was a business decision Monty Williams made in the second half of that game to sit him and play for another day, because what we saw was that game out of hand. And what is Devin Booker most known for? Not making sure the situation gets out of hand. He's the stopper. He's the one that hits the big shot when they need it the most. And so, Shay, I'm inclined to believe that this is a one-off for him in this series.
I agree with you. Devin Booker needs to have amnesia, right? Like, he needs to forget about what's happened in this last game. Here's what I know about the great ones. You can pick a sport and you can pick a player. I'll just go like Tom Brady. You can go down the list. Aaron Rodgers, LeBron, I don't care. They don't have 2 consecutive bad games, right? So this is a moment for Devin Booker to prove he's one of the great ones. Like, come out, have amnesia, and have a good game here in Game 4 and forget what happened in the past.
And he and the Suns have done that time and time again, right?
Correct.
Lose one, come back, go ahead and bounce back with no question at all. So I also think that is going to be the case, but not only that, it is going to be a matter of just the shots falling that seem to not fall on a random sort of sample size basis. It wasn't necessarily that they were bad shots, they just weren't falling, and that happens for shooters like that.
Totally. Okay, here's my question. Will the Suns finally be able to slow down Giannis Antetokounmpo? Because he has been able to get his in every single game. He's gone for 40 and 10 in the last 2 games, more than 40 and 10 in the last 2 games, and he's literally been thrown everything. The defenders have switched, the looks have switched, and yet still Giannis is getting what he wants. Now, when he doesn't have help all the time, it doesn't result in a W. But nonetheless, the Suns cannot figure out how to slow down the Greek Freak at all. So will it finally happen in Game 4?
I don't think so, because it's terrifying, but he's getting better after hyperextending his knee, which still don't make no sense to me.
At all.
The idea that he improves with every outing when I'm expecting it to somehow rear its head. I think the extra rest in between games helps. I think the idea of him being a supernatural human being also helps, but it is also a mentality that he goes about playing and how he fits within that offensive system that only builds for him to improve as he goes on.
Yeah, the only hope for the Suns on their side is they have to avoid what I think was one of the bigger pitfalls of Game 3, DeAndre Ayton getting into foul trouble. They don't have much in the way of rim protection on that team. He's the only legitimate size they've got, and when he started picking up fouls early, that Suns outfit had to downsize, they had to go more zone, and all of that just works in the favor of Giannis, who's finally listened to everyone cry at him for so long and gone down in the restricted area and just rained hell.
Speaking of drawing fouls, Giannis is drawing, he drew 17 in the last game. Meanwhile, the Suns only drew 16 as an entire team itself. So in addition to getting what he wants, he's also causing a huge problem in terms of fouls for the Suns.
All this love for Giannis, are we ready to just kind of jump on that bandwagon? I believe you have picked, because I got Suns in 6. What do you have, Shay?
I had Bucks in 7, and I wanted to jump off the train after the first 2 games, but I'm just going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with my Midwest roots anyway, so I'll just go Bucks in 7. Hey, they've turned it around before. They can do it again.
They absolutely have. I was Suns in 7 from the start, because I am nothing if not a coward who wanted to leave this up to a last game coin flip, and I am not going to back away from that audacious take now.